is in progress. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sue Mecham, CEO of Nala Systems. Sue Mecham holds a PhD in polymer chemistry from Virginia Tech and is the CEO and co-founder of the women-led company Nala Systems. Sue brings over 20 years of experience building and leading teams in both industry and academia, and has a broad background in materials and product development in automotive, sealing products, membranes for gas and liquid separations, medical devices, additive manufacturing. And Nala Systems is developing unique chemically resistant reverse osmosis membranes to reduce the cost and complexity of water purification. Nala was founded in 2018 and awarded an NSF SBIR Phase 1 award in 2019 to establish a proof of concept for their patent pending polymers as reverse osmosis membranes. Nala was recently awarded a follow-on Phase 2 grant from NSF to move their membrane product toward commercialization. We appreciate Sue joining us today to share her valuable insights from the journey she has experienced. Sue, I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me. So yeah, I thought I don't have any slides. I thought I would just kind of share my experience, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions if we have time for that. So as Krista mentioned, our awards are from NSF, and you know, all of the different agencies are all a little bit different. And they're constantly changing and over time as well. And so let me just I'll give you kind of a timeline of when we were involved with NSF, when we still are involved with NSF. So the whole reason this came about, my company, Nala Systems, was co-founded by myself and my mother. My mother is she was a professor at Virginia Tech, and she invented a new class of polymers that we knew was something that was really needed in the water purification industry, specifically for desalination. So removing salt from water. They needed a new alternative membrane, and what she produced was what she invented was a new polymer. So when she called me to tell me that she had invented this material, I immediately said, well, that's it, because I'd been looking for what we were going to start a company on. I wanted to start a company, and as soon as she said that, I knew that was the right one for us. So we founded the company in February of 2018, right when they filed the provisional at the university. And part of our first year, we had a little bit of funds set aside to work on this on the side. None of us were working full time at it. But we spent that time and that money doing some initial experiments, and then writing a proposal. So we wrote an SBIR proposal for a Phase 1 award to NSF, and that was a $250,000 proposal. We submitted that in June of 2018. And then in January of 2019, we were awarded that award, and that coincided exactly with the longest government shutdown in history. So we had a rough start to our Phase 1 award, but it was great to do that. So when we got the Phase 1, Judy, my mother, retired from the university, and she moved down to North Carolina and became our chief technology officer. And I was still working at UNC full time and managing the business side of Nala, while she took over the technical side and did that work. And so we proceeded with that work, and I think while we were in our Phase 1 was when we ended up at first flight. So we came to first flight, I think, in June of 2019, about halfway through that award. So we completed the award we actually had to go with a no-cost extension. So it was a 1-year award, or 12 months. And we ended up having to get a no-cost extension. This obviously was right at the beginning of the pandemic in early 2020. And we ended up completing that project in May of 2020, and then turned around and submitted a Phase 2 proposal in June of 2020. And so here is another big cautionary tactic. These things take time. That award for the phase 2 award was not awarded until April of 2021. So 10 months later after we submitted that proposal. So beware of those pitfalls that can happen. But I think that that was, we were very fortunate, very happy to get that awarded. And it was kind of an interesting process of going through that phase 2 award. So you kind of have to, you go through the proposal and the review process, and then the program manager came back to us, and basically the summary from the review process was that our technology looked fantastic. All of that looked great. We had great technical people and capabilities and all of that, but they were really concerned about our ability to commercialize that product. And so we had a lot of discussion with them to really detail the plans for commercialization, really, make it clear that we had a path to market. And that was really their biggest concern, was that we have that capability. So I can't emphasize enough with these SBIRs that, yes, the government, yes, absolutely, you have to have, good science, for this to work with these government grants, but you also have to have a plan for commercialization. You have to demonstrate to them that you have a very firm grasp of what it's going to take, and you have the resources and connections to make that happen. And so I think I can't emphasize that enough, how important that aspect of this is. And it becomes more and more important as you get to the phase 2. It becomes much more critical, because that's really where you're beginning to commercialize, or you should be taking steps towards commercialization. I think that there are some great advantages to SBIRs. Obviously it's non-dilutive funding. If you're awarded an SBIR, it's very validating, and that can be, and by validating, I mean validating in terms of to potential customers or potential investors. It validates that your science is worthwhile, and that you have a potential to go to market. And so that's those are some big pluses there. But it's also, there are also some disadvantages to SBIRs. And so, you need to be aware of those and be ready to handle those. And one of them, and you may have dug into this enough or have tried to submit a proposal before, to understand that it's extremely time consuming to write. They're very, very nitpicky on the details, how it's supposed to be done and what forms need to be there and all of those things. So there's a lot of detail that takes a lot of time. And also, when you have been awarded the program, it takes a lot of time to manage it too. So you have, a lot of those aspects you need to continue managing throughout the program and continue reporting. And that's part of what they want to see as you move forward. I think that one of the other disadvantages that early people with companies may not understand is that the SBIRs really don't cover everything that your business needs to be moving forward for commercialization. So the SBIRs in general don't cover IP. They don't cover marketing. They don't, and they're limited in terms of what you can apply for travel and things like that for dealing with customers and working directly with customers. Now there's some pluses, there are some ways that they're trying to mitigate that, I think, at a lot of the agencies. And again, it's all very different from agency to agency. They have what they call TABA money, so which is called technical and business assistance funds. And that is money that you can specifically apply to some of those commercialization efforts like IP and marketing and working directly with customers. And then you have the fee as well. So that's also money that you can incorporate into your budget that you can then use for some of those commercialization aspects. But that's still very limited. So it's likely you're going to need some other source of funds as well, or you may be able to manage using, if you have the ability to have some early revenue, you can use that to manage those things. But I think as I'll give a couple notes on suggestions I would have to make sure and keep into account while you're working on this. you need to make sure that you set very definite and achievable goals that will position you for commercialization. That's really what you want to put out there. You don't want to put too much in your proposal so that you can't achieve it, because if you really have to have some good achievements from your phase 1 to be able to get a phase 2. But you need to put enough in there that says you're going to move that dial. You're going to make some progress, and really commercialization has to be the goal. That has to be the ultimate goal that you're working towards. So everything you're doing should be moving you towards that goal. And then the other suggestion I have is, and this may apply more towards phase 2s, but there are opportunities for supplemental funding as well as phase 2. So for instance, with our phase 2 with NSF, we were able to incorporate $50,000 in TABA funds into that we're using for business development at this point, and I believe we're going to use it for a booth at a trade show in the near future. And then we also have access to strategic and commercial partnership money, a TECP program. So our phase 2 was $1 million, and that's over a 2-year program. And so the TECP, which is a commercial and strategic partnerships funds, we can apply for that, and that'll be an additional $200,000 that we can use to work directly with customers towards a commercialization goal. And then there's also an additional supplemental fund that we will have access to, which is called the phase 2B. And in that case, it is a program where you can get matching funds for investment dollars. And so we intend to take advantage of all of those opportunities for supplemental funding. And NSF wants us to do that. These are things that are put in place to be able to commercialize. So I'm afraid I talked a really long time. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
No, that was awesome, Sue. Thank you very much. That was great information. I know everyone really appreciates, experience from folks that have actually been there and done it and gone through the whole process. So thank you very much.